The ransom note is on the screen and the quarterly report might be in the wrong hands. You are staring down a trashed OneDrive and a manual restore means clicking through thousands of files. We are not doing that. We will connect to the graph, rewind the entire drive to a clean point in time, then hunt down exactly what is exposed and pull the usage numbers you need for a new quota policy. By the end, you will have a single script that does the forensics, the restore, and the reporting. You're learning to recover OneDrive data and generate reports. To take that further, this course shows you how to build AI agents that automate those kinds of Microsoft 365 administration tasks. It covers using Microsoft Graph, Python, and Azure AI to create agents for identity management, security investigations, and compliance reporting. It's a hands-on way to modernize your admin workflows. We begin by setting up an identity that can sign in without a human, which makes every task in this course schedulable. First, you pull the affected user's drive using Connect mggraph and get mguser_drive. Next, you restore that OneDrive to a point before the incident with invoke mggraph request. You then check the recycle bin for any files the restore missed using get mgdrive item delta. After that, you run a quarterly report to spot external exposure with invoke mggraph request and where object. We also pull usage and activity reports to support a quota rollout, combining connect mggraph, invoke mggraph request, and import CSV. Finally, you check what has been shared with the user, again using connect mggraph and invoke mggraph request. You walk away with a complete set of scripts you can run on any Microsoft 365 tenant. Before any of this can be automated, the tenant needs an identity that a script can sign in as. We build that in code, because a course about automation should not start by asking you to click through a portal. By the end of this section you will have an app registration, a service principal, and a connection that needs no human at all. We start by installing the Microsoft Graph module. This gives us the cmlets our course needs, like get mguser_drive and invoke mggraph request. We scope it to the current user so we do not need administrator rights on the machine itself. We connect interactively one time with the permissions needed to set up our automation identity. We ask for application read-write all to register the app, and app role assignment read-write all so we can grant admin consent later. This is the only interactive step. Now we look up the exact permissions our course labs need. We get the Microsoft Graph Service Principal and filter its app roles by name. We ask for files read-write all to recover OneDrive files, sites read all to check sharing, and reports read all for usage data. We never hardcode a permission GUID. We build a resource access object using the IDs we just looked up, and register a new application called OneDrive Recovery Automation. This application represents our unattended script. It has no interactive sign-in, which is exactly what we want for scheduled automation. We create the service principal, which is the local instance of our app in this tenant. Then we add a client secret. A certificate is the stronger choice for production, but a secret lets us get started quickly. Finally, we grant admin consent so our app can act without a user present. We capture the tenant ID, client ID, and secret. Then we demonstrate the unattended login the rest of the course will use. We convert the secret to a secure string, build a credential object, and connect. No browser, no consent dialog. This is automation. The script outputs 3 values we must save securely. The client ID and tenant ID are not secrets, but the secret itself is shown only once. The final line confirms we are connected to Microsoft Graph as our new service principal. Our OneDrive recovery automation identity is ready. When a OneDrive is hit by ransomware, your first move isn't restoring files, it's getting the drive object. Almost every graph call for recovery, permissions, or version history requires a drive ID, not a user principal name. So we start by pulling the finance director's drive and storing that ID. We'll also check a brand new hires account, because a missing drive there isn't a permissions bug. OneDrive is provisioned lazily on first sign-in, not at license assignment. Watch for a populated drive object with a business type and real quota usage for our director, and a silent empty result for the new hire. That confirms the pattern before we move into actual restore work. We'll connect to Graph with the right scopes, then pull Smith's drive, select the ID, drive type, and used gigabytes. We'll store the drive ID in a variable, and finally run the same query against a new hire to see the difference. First, connect mggraph with files.read.all and user.read.all. Those scopes let us read drive metadata and user profiles. Then get mg-user-drive for Smith, piping into select-object to grab the ID, drive type, and a calculated property that converts the quota's used bytes into gigabytes rounded to 2 decimals. Next we capture just the ID into a variable called drive ID, because every later step will need it. Finally, we run the same get mg-user-drive against new hire to see what a provisioned but never used OneDrive looks like. Smith returns a real drive ID starting with B, drive type business, and nearly 15 gigs used. That's our target. The new hire throws an item not found error, exactly as expected. The account is licensed but nobody has opened OneDrive yet, so no drive object exists. This isn't a permissions problem, it's lazy provisioning, and it confirms our sanity check. Now we have the drive ID stored and ready for the restore steps ahead. When ransomware encrypts most files in a OneDrive, restoring one by one isn't practical. Instead, we roll the entire drive back to a point-in-time snapshot using the drive's restore action. This isn't a preview, it rewrites the live drive state, so the timestamp must be provably before the incident. The operation is also not idempotent, running it twice can produce a different result because the already restored state becomes the new baseline. In this lab, you'll fire the restore and then watch for a 202 accepted, which means the async job is running. We'll build a JSON body with a restore point timestamp, then post it to the drive's restore endpoint using invoke mggraph request. The console will return a 202 accepted with no meaningful body, just confirmation the job started. First, we create a hash table with a restore point property set to a datetime string here, July 22, 2026 at 10 p.m. Universal Time Coordinated, which is before the encryption event. We convert that to JSON. Then we call invoke mggraph request with a post method, pointing at the drive's endpoint for our finance director's drive ID, followed by the restore action. We pass the JSON body and set the content type to application/JSON. We get back a 202 accepted status and nothing else in the body. That's exactly what the theory predicted. The restore is now running as an asynchronous job. In a few minutes, checking the drive will show files reverted to their pre-incident state, with last modified datetime values clustering around our restore point. Remember, if you reran this command now, it would compare against the already restored state, not the original encrypted state, so don't do it just to be safe. A handful of files the director swears existed are still missing after the restore. Check whether they were deleted, not just encrypted, and can be recovered separately. The instinct is to reach for get mg drive item delta since it tracks changes on the drive, but that's the wrong tool here. Delta is a change tracking feed for sync clients, not a browsable store of deleted content, so it can't list or restore anything sitting in the recycle bin. The actual recycle bin lives at the underlying SharePoint site level and isn't exposed through a supported Microsoft Graph v1 endpoint at all. Here's check the recycled bin for files restore missed. A handful of files the director swears existed are still missing after the restore. Check whether they were deleted, not just encrypted, and can be recovered separately. The delta call returns change entries, and any deleted item appears with a deleted facet only in the delta page covering the moment it was removed. There's no way to page back and find it later, and nothing about it is restorable from that feed. The SharePoint REST call against the site's recycle bin returns the actual deleted items with deleted date and author, which can be restored from there. Security flagged a concern that the finance director's quarterly report might be shared externally, but you can't just open a file property and see it shared externally. Yes. That conclusion has to be built by walking the permissions collection. The real danger is a sharing link with scope anonymous or a granted to v2 identity whose domain isn't kintoso.com. And here's the part most admins miss: sharing can be set on a parent folder and inherited down, so a file's own permissions list can look perfectly clean while the folder above it is wide open. In this step you'll pull the file, inspect its direct permissions, then repeat the check on the parent quarterly reports folder and you'll see exactly why that second call matters. I'll fetch the quarterly report file, filter its permissions for anonymous links or external users, then do the same for the parent folder. The file itself will look safe, but the folder will reveal an anonymous link created months ago. First, invoke ngGraphRequest does a GT to the drive's root relative path for the Q2 2026 financials.xlsx file, storing the item. Then we call the item's permissions endpoint and pipe the value collection into where object, filtering for any link whose scope equals anonymous or any granted to v2 user whose user principal name doesn't end in contoso.com. Next we fetch the parent quarterly reports folder the same way and dump its full permissions list, no filter this time, because we want to see everything that's there. The file's own permissions return nothing for our filter, no anonymous links, no external users. But when we check the parent folder, there it is, a view type link with scope anonymous, no password, sitting right on the quarterly reports folder. That means the report inherits this exposure, even though the file itself looked clean. This is exactly the pitfall. Skipping the parent folder would have left an active anonymous share completely undetected. Graph usage and activity reports aren't part of the drive or file APIs you've been using, they're CSV downloads from the /reports endpoint, and they demand their own permission, reports.read.all. If you try to pull them with a token scoped only for files.read.all, you'll get a 403 even though you're the same admin. That's the first thing to watch for. The second is a tenant-level privacy setting called concealed names, which is on by default in many tenants and replaces real user principal names with anonymized strings like user18d3f2. That quietly breaks any filtering or lookup you do by username. In this step, you'll pull two reports, a 30-day usage detail and a 7-day activity detail, save them as CSVs, then filter the activity report to find accounts whose sync count spiked above 500 files during the incident window. That gives IT the storage numbers for the quota policy and flags the unusual sync behavior at the same time. You'll reconnect with the reports.read.all scope, pull two CSV reports into your temp folder, and then filter the activity data to surface accounts with more than 500 synced files in the last week. Expect to see Smith and a few others flagged. First, connect ngGraph with the reports.read.all scope. This is a fresh consent because the earlier files.read.all token won't work here. Then invoke ngGraphRequest hits the OneDrive usage account detail report for the last 30 days and saves it as a CSV in your temp directory. The same command pulls the OneDrive activity user detail report for the last 7 days and saves that as a second CSV. Finally, import CSV reads the activity file, pipes it into where object to keep only rows where the synced file count column cast to a double is greater than 500, and select object picks out the user principal name, synced file count, and viewed or edited count for those flagged accounts. Both report calls return a 302 redirect. That's normal. Graph streams the CSV from a different URL and the command follows it silently. The filtered activity output shows 3 accounts with sync counts over 500. Smith is right at the top with 847 synced files, which lines up with the incident window. But notice that second row, user 18d3f2, instead of a real UPN. That's the concealed name setting in action. It anonymized that user, so you can't identify them until an admin with the right role turns that off or pulls the report from the admin center. The storage numbers are now sitting in the usage CSV, ready for the quota policy sizing in the next step. We've recovered files and checked the director's own sharing, but some of that unusual sync activity could be files shared with them by others. To investigate that, we need to see what's landed in their OneDrive from external or internal colleagues. The catch, there's no admin command to peek at this from above. The graph endpoint /me/drive/shared with me only works when you're signed in as that exact person. So for this final step, we switch from app only to a delegated sign-in as the director. Watch for a list of items, each with a remote item showing who shared it and where it lives. That's the clue that could explain the sync spike. I'll connect with delegated permissions as the user, then call the shared with me endpoint. The output will be a table of file names, who shared them, and the web URL pointing back to the original owner's drive. First, connect ngGraph with the files.read.all scope force as a delegated sign-in. I authenticate as the director. Then invoke ngGraphRequest hits the /me/drive/shared with me URI. No user ID possible here. I expand the value property and select the name, a calculated property for the sharer's display name from the remote item block, and the web URL. This surfaces exactly what others have pushed into this OneDrive. There it is. 2 files shared with the director, one from an internal colleague, Alex Turner, and one from an external user, Megan Chen. The external file, a budget template from Fabricam, could easily explain a sync volume spike, especially if it's large or frequently updated. This confirms the investigation angle, but also highlights the pitfall: we had to sign in as the director to get this. In a real incident, that's not always quick to arrange, but it's the only way to close this loop. We covered 6 automation-ready tasks for OneDrive recovery and reporting, all driven by PowerShell. You now have the patterns to restore drives, check recycle bins, and pull usage and sharing reports without touching the portal. The single most useful thing to carry away is that the invoke ng-graph request cmlet is your universal key for any Graph API endpoint, even when a dedicated cmlet does not exist. Use it to build automation that fits your exact recovery workflow.